If you're a fan of old school bodybuilding, then make sure to check out Sups the Movie. Filmmaker Alex Ardenti explores the $40 billion sports supplement industry, delving into the origins, evolution, and current state of supplements used by millions of fitness enthusiasts worldwide, available at Amazon and Vimeo. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today we continue with the new set of videos featuring my interviews with Jerry Brainum. And in this video segment, Jerry will talk about the post-training effects of Mike Mentzer's high-intensity training system and how such an abbreviated system of training can lead to hypertrophy. For many years, the high-intensity training system, which was popular in the 70s and 80s, has kind of fallen away from popularity. But Jerry explains how science is beginning to catch up with some of the theories advocated by Mike Mentzer. Enjoy.
So you've kind of talked about two of the methods that you used. Initially, the bulking phase, which was famous in the silver era times of the 50s and 60s. And then later, HIT, which was advocated by Arthur Jones.
Right.
Basically, with the HIT in the 50s and 60s, what's funny enough is that both methods would have required almost full body training. Is that correct?
Well, no, the bulking up, I still trained 6 times a week.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but the HIT definitely was only 3 times a week. And later years, they cut it to 2. And Mike Mentzer, as you know, was a big advocate of HIT.
Mm-hmm.
He was also learned it from Arthur. Oh, well, he got it originally from Casey Viator, and then he went to Arthur Jones. But when he trained his clients as a personal trainer, he had them training a muscle once every 14 days.
Yeah,
once
I've
every
read his work.
weeks.
Yeah.
Because he felt that the muscle required that much recuperation.
Mm-hmm.
And there actually is some science to back that up, because the way it turns out, you have the different types of muscle contractions. Raising the weight is called concentric contraction. Lowering is negative, also called eccentric contraction. It turns out eccentric contractions, if you do them right, especially with heavy weight, they cause an extensive amount of muscle damage. In fact, what they call DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, results almost entirely from eccentric
loading.
Because they cause that kind of muscle damage. And the studies have shown that it actually sometimes some muscles, if you train them hard enough with eccentric training, they require additional rest. Because among other things, when there's so much damage that occurs in the muscle when you do heavy eccentric training, that your muscle is actually temporarily unable to replace the glycogen. So that the muscle can't even replace its fuel stores. So if you try and train before you have full recuperation,
impossible.
It can't. It's like spinning your wheels. You're not going anywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So as we have heard from Jerry highlights the reason why training using the high-intensity training principles advocated by Mike Mentzer requires greater recuperation. Just to briefly outline the HIT principles, HIT requires one to constantly increase the training intensity in order for hypertrophy to be stimulated. HIT also advocates the training of the muscle in all phases of contraction, that is concentric and eccentric, and advocates the use of high intensity principles such as eccentric loading, forced reps, partial reps, and the pre-exhaust principle, all with the purpose of increasing intensity of one's training. Looking at some of the things that Jerry pointed out, like delayed onset muscle soreness called DOMS, which mostly arises from heavy eccentric loading. The eccentric phase of an exercise is mostly ignored still by most trainees to this day, hence why many do not feel the soreness the next day after training. Although not always necessary for inducing muscle hypertrophy, it is a reflection of the lack of intensity in today's trainees. Jerry also mentioned that the severity of muscle damage can be so great during HIT training that the muscle temporarily cannot replace glycogen, especially after training to absolute failure. For this reason, Mike Mentzer would advocate abbreviated training, and for some individuals who were considered extreme hard gainers, he found that they only needed to train once every 14 days. That's once every 2 weeks. Studies dating back since the late 1970s and right up to more recent times have evidence to support these controversial statements and approaches taken by Mike Mentzer. Creatine kinase levels, which can serve as biomarkers of muscle work and recovery after exercise, can take up to 2 weeks to normalize during intense eccentric workouts. Muscle adaptation measures such as strength after intense bouts of eccentric training were found to take up to 2 weeks in other studies. Indeed, when it comes to at least recovering after high-intensity training, and especially after hard gainers training to muscular failure, it does seem that Mike Mentzer's extreme method of abbreviated training may have some merit. One needs to, of course, remember that everybody is different when it comes to response to training. Not everybody trains to true muscular failure, and for these individuals, recovery comes much faster and therefore training can be more frequent. Also, not everybody's recovery and adaptation rate is the same either. And here, of course, genetics, training experience, age, nutrition, sleep, and many other factors come into play. I definitely don't advocate training with such extreme abbreviation, and that's probably because I don't train to that level of intensity. But it is interesting to see that even science in some cases can back up the claims made by Mike Mentzer with such extremely infrequent training. I did actually ask Jerry via email too to see if he could dig out the original reference he mentioned regarding glycogen taking so long to replenish in muscle tissue, but he answered in an email that he couldn't remember and that it had to do with GLUT4 inactivation, of which I found several references for. Again, it is really interesting and exciting to see how science is beginning to make sense of HIIT training. So I do hope you have enjoyed watching this video interview with Jerry Brainum on HIIT, and although it was a short segment from this interview, I thought I would separate it out from the rest, as these statements from Jerry alone on HIIT were interesting to investigate. If you have enjoyed watching the video, please give the video a like, subscribe to this channel and Jerry's channel too for more content like this, and click the bell button to be notified of future videos. And don't forget to leave your comments in the comments section as well. Also, make sure to subscribe to Applied Metabolics newsletter by Jerry Brainum if you do wish to enhance your knowledge on bodybuilding nutrition, especially as a natural bodybuilder. More information is given in the description below. If you're interested in learning more about natural bodybuilding, hit me up for online coaching at www.goldeneraBookum.com, and also check out my website for ebooks on HIIT training. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookum saying bye for now. As a natural bodybuilder, it is imperative to know your own testosterone levels, as they are a reflection of the anabolic environment created by your diet and training. I would highly recommend using the male hormone test kit from Let's Get Checked, and make sure you use my code GOLDEN30 for a 30% discount. Again, the advantage of checking yourself regularly is that you will know how well your body is anabolically primed to put on the much desired muscle you are working for. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles, but how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises, and believe me, it's a brilliant, brilliant program. Many people have used it. I know personally a lot of bodybuilders that have actually used it and made fantastic results with it. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldeneraBookum.com. Now, the Pro Series of Bodybuilding, which was targeted for professional bodybuilders, contains 6 programs, each of which go for 2 months each. So it's a whole year, again, in preparation for competition. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldeneraBooking.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Ironman Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. To support your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/Golden Era Bookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again at teespring.com/stores/Golden Era Bookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding.
I don't think that Bill Phillips looked at it as, I want to compete against them. I want to destroy them.
If they pass legislation basically making any type of food supplement a prescription item, that would be the end, the death of the entire food supplement industry.
Take your vitamin pill now.
In the 1960s, the sports supplement industry was barely emerging.
I think the reason why Joe Weider was so successful was he had Arnold on his side.
He wasn't selling supplements. He was in the dream business.
Joe Weider was a marketing genius.
People would say the promotions or the endorsements back then were cheesy. To me, it wasn't. I loved it.
Fitness was taking off. You know, fitness became cool. You had a lot of readers that wanted to be like the stars that they idolized.
Bill's strength is his marketing savvy. He's a marketing genius.
Got it. It's only vitamin.
The right of American citizens to have free access to dietary supplements of their choice.
Consult your physician. You might as well consult the next guy you meet on the street. They don't know a damn thing about vitamins and nutrition.
The dietary supplement industry became the #2 most regulated industry. Nuclear, dietary supplements, pharmaceutical. We're more regulated than drugs.
They come in and you need to allow the FDA. They have jurisdiction.
The enforcement is kind of the questionable side of it, and how do they really get a handle on this monster?
A lot of people tell me that the dietary supplement industry is completely unregulated. It's the wild, wild west out there. It's a free-for-all. That could not be further from the truth.
A dietary supplement is not allowed to have a side effect. I always say the pharmaceutical has to have a minimum of 100 side effects in order for it to be a drug.
And now, it's a $40 billion industry and growing.
That's the really interesting thing, is the cast of characters from the 80s, when it was kind of iffy, to now when it's a lot more legitimate.
They made it sound cutting edge, revolutionary, and different, and I want that. That's cool.
We are in this industry to improve our health. It's not just a vanity project here. We're working on our lifeline. We eat a certain way to improve our health. We train a certain way to improve our health. Supplements are just that. They supplement your work, your graft, your nutrition.
They demonize dietary supplements, but they say all you need is real food. Well, what's a real food?
They pump you up and get you hard, stronger, faster, bigger.
Doc, I want to take this weight gain. I want to take this pre-workout. Doctor's, no way. That stuff, we don't know what's in that. It could be, no way. I'm not going to give you, it's going to kill the industry, bottom line.
So I must have drank so much protein powder from age 15 to 18 that my head was going to explode.
I believed in metrics so much that I would probably punch somebody in the face if they tried to take it away from me.